What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another episode, Sunday Sessions with Rich Podcast. If you're new, I drop episodes every single week. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Now Twitter too, because apparently you can post podcast episodes on Twitter. I'm just having fun with it at this point. But on today's episode, super excited to chat with this person. Sarah comes on to the show. I like to consider Sarah a jack of all trades, but I know our mission is to serve the collective and just pour all into it. So Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of
Um,
course. I gave you a little bit of an intro, but for those who don't know you, please let us know who you are and the amazing things you have going on.
okay, so yeah, my name is Sarah. I feel like people probably know me best as Alien Here to Love on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, Instagram. And yeah, I mean, you said it well when you said jack of all trades. I mean, that's kind of what it is when you're on an awakening journey because you're not living in a linear timeline anymore. So
Yep.
it's very hard to like give a bio or like this is what I do. But yeah,
How do I describe myself?
basically exactly. You live the mission, you live your purpose.
Ooh, live the mission. I rock with that.
Yeah, so I am here to serve the collective. Like you said, I like that this podcast is just all about just talking to different people and getting different perspectives. And yeah, we're living through the most epic transformation like ever. And, I've been
Yes.
on this spiritual journey for quite some time. And I basically just move how God moves me every day. So,
Mm, being present in your body and just flowing with the presence of God.
yes, yes. We're just here to be divine instruments. Like that's pretty much all I'm here to like. I'm just here to beam my signal.
Yeah.
Whatever resonates. Like let's build
Yeah.
the kingdom. Like let's go.
Let's dive into that though, because
So
I know a lot of people. So are you familiar with Guy Harvey, right? On Twitter?
yes, yes.
So I had Guy on the podcast years ago, and it sounds weird saying this now. And he was saying that there's stages of the awakening that's going on with this whole COVID lockdown thing. And like as you seeing it in real time, I'm like, damn, this makes sense. And I know right now they're kind of threatening the new lockdown with the new scary big back scary virus that's going around. But from the consciousness perspective, a God perspective, this is us waking up the others who are still a little bit deeper asleep. And I'm like, this is so fascinating when you could look at it from that perspective, not a fear-based mindset.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The awakening definitely happens in stages because it has to. Because when you really start to get into like the architecture of reality, like the multiple layers of
Mhm.
light and sound that have to be restored. So yeah, there's definitely been layers to this, and those of us who have been on this path for a while, we can see that it is
Yes.
we're reaching that point of critical mass where
Yes.
I tell people we will see the change in our lifetime. Like, don't give up. Like, don't lose
Yes.
hope. Don't let however scary it looks, however insanity they're trying to pull because they know their time is up. And
Yes.
it's just a matter of, and it's all frequency, right? It's all a matter of like, it's all an energetic war. It's all ultimately a spiritual war. Um, so those of us who have awakened to that, like we do have this responsibility to just emanate that frequency of pure love as best we can and trust in that natural. I'm so big on the
Yeah.
natural technology um, that is the human, because we are part of God. We were
Yes.
never actually meant meant to be so separate. So, I mean, I could go on and on.
Hey,
I don't know
no.
which,
Oh no,
I
we
guess it
can.
doesn't matter which direction
It
we
does a
go.
different. I'm a rambler. I like to talk about these things, so I am all for it. I am all for it. I think it's interesting too.
Okay.
One thing I had to practice. So when I guess like the first awakening happened, you have those who are, judgmental, angry towards you because you didn't choose to participate in the experiment. And even that, you have to practice that love and that compassion, saying you are still source operating under this programming. This is very hard. I want to tell you, oh, but
Mhm.
you're wrong, but I cannot. How did I'm always curious talking to other like-minded individuals. How did you navigate those like testing times when people was just like, it's like he was Jesus on the cross at that point, like this,
Oof, oof. I just got chills. Yeah, well, I remember during that time receiving the message, like, stay in the heart, like, stay in the
Mm,
heart. Because by the time that all of that happened, like, I had been on the awakening journey or whatever for so long that,
right.
like, I I don't trust mainstream media, like, at all.
Oh
It
no.
doesn't even matter what they're saying. Like, I had just
Nah.
become so, like, discerning about frequency and information. So, like, it was really, really hard. It was really, really challenging, but it was also an initiation into really holding that frequency of love, like, for the whole collective. And I feel like that
Yeah.
was the tipping point because, like, you know, negative forces, they just operate by divide and conquer by whichever
Hmm.
ways that they can. Not
Yep.
even we, those of us who knew, like, it really was an initiation for us too, to go even higher and hold that frequency of love and
Yep.
just have faith that this is not about pointing out, you know, who's right and who's wrong. This is not about being divided into more camps of, you know, anti this or anti
Yep.
that. It was really an initiation and it was really challenging. So I just, I mean, that was, I mean, I prayed a lot. I feel like I just went straight into like full blown, like I have to live in this reality, like in the world, but not of it at all.
Yeah.
And just like show up and love like as best I can and like check my, I mean, I had to check myself as well
Of
to not
course.
be like, ah, like how do people not
Yeah.
for me? It was so clear what was going on, but then it's like, if you really, you know, if you really have a grasp of how deep the mind control really is, like
People don't even understand
you can't
that.
help but have compassion. It's like it's insane. I mean, it's even hard for because it's insane. I mean, it's meant to generate psychosis because if people are in a state of psychosis, they're
Yes.
easier to control. So like yeah,
Even
but it all comes back to the heart, and that is ultimately the shift. Is yeah. Go ahead.
no, 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 no. I'm loving this. I'm loving this convo. Even when you
Yeah.
bring up something like, "Hey, there's mind control in the music. There's mind control in the foods. There's mind control everywhere." Prime freaking example. I was having a talk. I was on one of my homies' podcasts, and I'm not gonna say the other guy's name. There's people who is like it's not that deep. Like when you bring up a topic, something that me and you are aware of, and I'm like, damn, this amnesia is really strong with these people. Because damn. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can't help but to have
Mm-hmm.
compassion for it because from their perspective, they're operating from this program, and until they accept new information as true, then there's nothing I can say that's gonna shake the table.
Right. Right. And it really is an initiation into like I would say the mechanics of consciousness and like how long this agenda has actually been rolling out. I mean, this has been like at least basically a century's worth. Like if you really get into like how hard these forces have been working
Those
to
2 years seem
like
like a century.
oh absolutely oh yeah just time. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's frequency. They're messing with our sense of space and time.
Uh, have you been
Like
feeling recently like time has been weird?
oh yeah. I mean, time is like this is one of my favorite. This
Yeah,
is
let's
one of
dive
my
into
favorite.
it. Yeah.
Time is I feel I've been mastering time more and more. Like I can feel when it like slows down and
Oh,
speeds
that's
up. Like
dope.
it's really not like a set thing. I forget what time it actually is. Like yesterday, I thought it was already Wednesday. I was texting someone, and they're like, "I'm like, oh, that's like, because I'm more of a, I feel my way through reality,
I love
right?
that. I love that.
That's yeah. So I don't you know, breaking down those that false sense of time is a big part of awakening. So yeah, and that's what I always want to tell people. Like if you feel like time is like weird, like you're not in your mind in a way, but you're really just, you're losing the old mind, you're losing the old conditioning.
Ooh.
And coming deeper into what? Into the God dream. You're dreaming with God. And it's
Come
like,
on. This is a God's dream, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen.
this is a God dream. It really, really is. Um,
It's so beautiful
so
too.
yeah, I'm always,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not, I was just gonna say I'm always tripping through the dream to be real frank. I'm just always tripping through the dream, like organically. Like
Yeah.
organically. I don't have to like, take anything to be like, whoa.
It's become, I feel like it's become such a
So
practice for you, and you've been so grounded in your spirituality that now you literally are like floating through the dream, and it's like it's cool to observe. How do you, I know,
yeah,
oh sorry, there was a delay. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, yeah, it does take time um, to really anchor at what would be like, yeah, the consciousness of your spirit, which is eternal and doesn't exist within linear constructs of time, but like in our bodies and in our collective experience, like we still have to interface.
Yeah.
So it is a journey. It does take a lot of discipline. So, but it's worth it to just, yeah, stay committed to your path, and then you get to experience reality. Like it's a dream, but it's real.
Yes.
I'm not floating. I'm not outside of my body. Like I'm
Exactly.
so in my body. Like this is really happening, and my visions, they're not just a fantasy. Like we are actually bringing these higher visions down into the material form through our embodiment, through our devotion.
Mm.
So
You
yeah,
have to become the energy, become the presence that you want to see. Like that, just become what you want to see in the world. I feel like that goes over a lot of people's heads, but it's just because everything's vibration and reality is a mirror. And so it just makes so much sense.
yeah. And these are the spiritual laws that have been lost. They're spiritual laws that exist so far beyond any single religious or spiritual tradition. Like they're literally the universal laws of just the fabric of the nature of the reality that we live in. So they are
Mhm.
available for all of humanity to access. It doesn't matter
Yes.
what 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 lineage, what family you were born into. It doesn't matter how you grew up. Like everyone's awakening will be unique depending on all of those factors. But like
Yeah.
this path, it's available for all of humanity, and it's kind of like we're at that point where it's like you're either gonna remember
Yeah.
or like, yeah, I mean, we're just here, we're reaching that, like there's not that much more wiggle room for people to not
No,
realize
I I'm
that's just
start
a living dream.
I think people they're realizing there has to be more than life. Than I feel like COVID slowed down a lot of people's routine, and it made them reflect and think about life and go inward. And then from there, they're like, it has to be more than life. It has to be more to this existence. So like this God's dream is diabolical, is beautiful, is crazy. Because like if you can understand why things are happening, like you're not the victim, you're pulled away from the matrix and you observe it and say, oh, okay, I see what Source is doing there. That clever, clever person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that was like even what you said about like that time being an opportunity for people to kind of slow down and go inward. Like, that's how I navigated that time as well, because like, yeah, there was so much warfare. Like, just, I mean, it was absolutely awful, and it was a retaliation attempt,
Yeah,
by negative forces. But like,
yeah,
it's almost like the spirit of humanity. You see it; it's so strong. Like people still took that time, and they did. Like I do see a lot of positive changes that also
yeah,
came out of it,
1000%.
and I did see the blessing in it of like, okay, well, no one can go to work, so like
I wasn't mad at that.
that we actually need like a pause. Like let's like a pause, because this way that we've been living is just so inorganic to
Yeah,
life. So it's like you could say it was a pause button, and people had a choice. Am I going to keep
yeah,
living the way that I am. And I think a lot of people did use that time to make positive changes. And I have seen that as well. And to me, that's just a testimony of like the spirit of God that is present in the spirit of humanity. Even if you aren't necessarily thinking in that way yet. Because
Right.
it's not about it. I mean, changing your thoughts is part of it, but like the spirit is so much deeper. Like it lives in us already. It's just a matter of like remembering.
Mm.
So
Remember who you are, my
yeah.
friends. Remember who you are. I am curious. So I know everyone's remembering of who they are is different. When did you wake up? When did you say, oh, I'm actually God in this God dream? How was that for you?
It was very organic because I
Okay.
didn't grow up with any like heavy religious or spiritual programming. I was just kind of like, I always was like, oh, the whole universe lives in my heart. But like I didn't experience it like
Yeah.
that until like it was like 2015, 2016, when it really I just was started being like blasted with
Mm.
like it was just very organic, just codes and revelations and like I didn't I couldn't quite make sense of it because I did have such an aversion to like religious language. I had an aversion to like God because I just always saw the mind control within
Yeah.
a lot of religion. So I struggled a lot with like finding words for what I was experiencing, but like
Mhm.
again, it starts with the heart. So it's okay if like people don't quite understand. It really is a feeling. It really is a remembrance that just comes to you from within. And it's like I couldn't deny that what I was feeling was like so real. And
Mm.
I just felt washed in the Holy Spirit. And I just was like, oh my gosh, like I have mental clarity, like just truly miraculous healing. And I just had to keep following it. So I followed it and it was so hard to explain, but I just knew I had to keep surrendering. I couldn't explain how I knew what I knew, but I just knew I had to die in this fire. Like the fire came for me and I had to just
Yeah.
let myself die in it. And I know
And
it sounds really intense, but
that
like
does sound, but I
it
love it.
was.
Sheesh.
It was, but I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I mean, I just feel so blessed to have gone through all of that. So
It's that perspective. Have you found? I feel like surrender has been a huge theme. And I've been playing around with it a lot in my reality. Airport anxiety has taught me the most about surrendering,
mm,
um, and if you can apply that into any aspect of your life, you realize that everything is working out for you. The greatest control is when you surrender because you're flowing. The ego wants to control the how tos and the mechanics, but that's not our job. The source, the universe, whatever, they're orchestrating
right,
the next
right,
scene. So we just have to do our part
right.
and just be like, you know what? I know this is gonna work out well. I don't know how, and it's gonna be better than I could have freaking set it up. So let's go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like, and I mean, it's so different than what we're taught. I just
Mm-hmm.
have so much societal programming that was just, that you have to work so hard and um, that you're just kind of like all alone and it's all up to you. So like it was
Mm-hmm.
a really big life change for me to like, and it was just a shift. It was just like a revelation where I'm like, wait a minute, because I was always interested in physics and psychology, and I wanted to be a psychologist. I've always been passionate about
Same.
healing the deeper aspects of the mind. But like as I was preparing to apply for this PhD in clinical psych, I was also just thinking about like I've always just been interested in like quantum theory. It's always just been a
Yeah.
passion of mine. And so I was just like, I remember reading something in a physics book about like, there's no center of the universe. Like every center is the center when you're at that point. And I was just like, wait a minute, that's like human consciousness. Like
Yeah.
not no one of us, I'm not the center of the universe, but like I'm living from the center of my reality, you're living from the center of yours. And so like that was one of my first, I would say, just like higher visions of like the architecture of reality, that it really just is all of these um intersecting spheres. Like
Yes.
this is a divine orchestra. So like, and that was in 2015, where I just had that like, wait a minute. And then I took it a step further, because I was like, well, if my consciousness is architectured like similar to how the universe is, like,
Yeah.
what does that mean when we start talking about healing, like the
Ooh.
inner state of the psyche? Because that's, at that time, I was I was on the path to be a clinical psychologist, and so I just kind of took it there, and I was like, wait a minute, like, why isn't the field of psychology talking more with the field? Why aren't the psychologists talking with the physicists? Like, I feel like we need to have lunch, and we need to like share notes and like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just so that was just how I awakened to like, oh, my inner world, like inner space and outer space are like not that different. I am a microcosm of the macro, and that was really when I started just awakening. And shortly after that, my reality started to transform to reflect that. Like the
Yup.
synchronicity was just
Yup.
inexplicably off the charts. Where like, if you start talking, this is like, I got into the territory where if you start trying to talk to people who haven't experienced it, you just sound like
It sound
you've just lost your
crazy.
mind, you know. You
Yeah.
just sound crazy. And so I had to like, wait, like, have I lost my mind? But then I always came back to like, no, because like I'm at peace. Like,
Yes.
I'm at peace. I feel love. I feel just hopeful about the
Mhm.
future. Like, I feel here. I feel excited about life. So I really, it didn't matter anymore how other people viewed it. I'm like,
Yup.
maybe I do. Maybe to them this is crazy because they're not ready for this. They're not at
You're
this point
not.
on their journey. But
Nope.
like, when you get to this point, like, it no longer matters what anyone else's perspective is, because you realize
I
they
do
can
not
only
care.
filter, yeah, they can only filter you through their own lens. So yeah, it was a radical, and of
Powerful.
course that transformed my entire life path. I just knew I couldn't do the traditional psych path. I
Oh
had
no.
to just go on this journey that God was taking me on, to just to show me like how the mind, how this all actually works. And
Went from
it's been a
textbook to
wild ride,
energetic.
but yeah, yeah,
That's
truly.
that's so real. I'm noticing I'm it's like this cognitive dissonance. And a lot of the things that we may say, and it's gonna trigger some people because they just can't wrap their heads around it, and that's okay. But I feel it's funny because the angrier or more, like, not even angry, I guess, like the more emotionally invested they are with saying, no, that's not right, you're wrong. They're deep down consciously, they know it's true. That's why they're fighting it so hard. So it's like that stubborn child who just won't admit it. It's like, your soul knows it's true right now, but the ego is playing a little bit of a game right now.
Yeah, there's so much resistance in a lot of people. I don't fully understand why. I think it comes back to just our deep need to feel safe and secure, and like,
Do you think it's that group think
no
too?
one,
Like, you don't want to be
what's
seen as,
that?
do you think it's that group think too? And you don't want to be seen as an outcast because it's not against the.
Oh, absolutely. It plays on our need to belong, our need to be part of community, our need to be liked. Like, it, and I mean, that's what we're all like, we've all been waking up from amnesia, and this amnesia was like orchestrated, and it works. It knows what the heart of humanity needs. It knows what the soul of humanity needs, and it plays
Mhm.
on those needs. And so, like, that always reminds me to have compassion, because deep down, everyone just wants to be loved, and they want to be, liked and feel like part of a community, because we are interrelational beings. But like, it does not happen through the mind. It does not
Mhm.
happen through, pretending you're someone else just so someone else will like you. I mean, it's not just a matter of
Yeah.
like, oh, show up in your truth. It's like, fundamentally, the laws of the universe
Yes.
don't operate that way. And it's like, yeah, so it is all of that just false societal programming. I think that keeps people just locked into thought loops that are just so inorganic
Hmm. I think
to
too
who
with
they are.
I think what baffles a lot of people is when it comes to the idea of I am responsible for my reality. This is happening because of my vibration or something I was thinking or a belief or programming, and having the courage to change it because everything's a mirror and everything is vibrational. Reality mirrors to you. But what I I don't know why it's challenging for some to kind of grasp fully the idea that I don't know. Maybe people want to believe in a something else that governs their life, and they don't want to take responsibility. Maybe it's too hard. But I'd rather just be like, hey, I know why I experienced that person flipped me off yesterday because I was my vibration before that I was not the happiest. So this kind of makes sense. I need to kind of pivot where I am so I can experience something different. Like when you can like narrate your experience and say, I know why I'm experiencing this. Ah man, you're so free.
No, absolutely. I was hearing the word liberation as you were talking. It's like this is really the only way to be free.
Mm-hmm.
But it does require, but because it's a reclamation of our power
Yes.
as creative beings, like
Yes.
literally expressions of creator source energy.
Yes.
Um, so we are emanations of the light and sound of God. Like it's just who we are. But with that power does come great responsibility. Like that's such a true saying, and it's like that responsibility is hard because you can't blame other people anymore. I mean, you can still, you know, be angry and you can still have like discernment and figure out all of that
But
stuff,
you
but
know
it's like at the
why.
core of it,
Oh my
yeah.
God. Any it's tough. It is, especially with family members. I feel like that's the biggest test.
Yeah, it's hard when you start awakening and it's like everyone's on a different point of their journey,
Yes.
and the people around you might not be ready. You know, it's really really hard because the love never goes away, you
No.
know, like if we're all really honest with ourselves, I think,
Yeah. That
you
is
know, but um
true. I I want to kind of pivot because are you into aliens, Sarah?
am I into aliens? Can you elaborate?
I'm just messing with you. What's your take on the government admitting what we already know? Like, what's your because I've noticed that a lot of people are not I already know that our Galactic Federation brethren and sisters, but for a lot of people who are like when they heard the news, it wasn't like a shock. It was more so, oh, we already know that. What's next? Like I think we're people are more so like I want to see things now. Like I don't want to keep hearing. I want to see it. I think we're ready. That shift in consciousness.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm very skeptical of anything that comes out
I
of
know. I know. I'm the same.
a centralized government.
Especially the
Yeah, I mean,
timing.
one of my what's that?
I said, especially the timing of them saying it. Like it's no coincidence.
The timing and like, yeah, I think so many of us are already like just intuitively aware that
Yes.
like we share like the universe is really a multiverse,
Yes.
and there are other life forms, which is like really not a big deal at all when you really like we're
Not
just in
at
this great
all.
celestial orchestra. Like it's really not a big deal, you know.
Mhm.
I'm always skeptical because I can see how like, you know, Hollywood propaganda has
Oh yeah.
attempted to like prime humanity to like be afraid of
Yeah.
these other life forms, but it's like if there are negative life forms, like they feed on fear. So
Exactly.
it's like when it gets to government disclosure of things, I'm always like, I don't really know. I feel like we have to be so discerning. And it's
Have
like,
to.
this is really the opportunity for us to like literally take everything with a grain of salt,
Oh
or like,
yeah.
I actually don't even know what that phrase means, but like to be just so
I don't
discerning because
either.
like, I actually don't know why I said that. I'm like, oh, is that a program coming through?
I
Oh
use
God.
the same
Always like
phrase.
checking myself. What is that? A grain of, I mean, salt is, I don't know, purifying, right? Let's just,
I think you're the
Let's
first
run
person I've
some
ever heard that's
salt
like,
through
what does this
everything.
even mean? I'll never question it because it don't make sense. It don't make sense at all.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I love that conversation about like other life forms.
Because we're
But
not
I
the only
think the
one.
conversation, no, no, and like the entire like we're meant to live in harmony with other life forms, and like there was no, but like we've been like there's been this great war happening
Yes.
like in the galaxies. Like there's been
Mm,
spiritual energetic wars, and like there are fallen entities, like there are negative
yes.
aliens, but like I hesitate to start talking about that because I feel like right away it's like we get these, you know, pictures of like alien invasion and like big green monsters like just coming in. Like that's not like I don't anticipate that happening. I feel
No.
like that's a fear-based scenario. Um I think the conversation is a lot more nuanced,
Yeah.
and we in order to like in order to like commune with other life forms in a way that is like supportive of all life, we have to like clean up our mess.
Yeah. Look us up in
You
the
know,
mirror.
like we have to awaken.
Hmm.
Yeah, like because this does get very like quantum, and like if there's still shadow stuff and pain body stuff, like it gets real weird in
Yeah.
those higher frequencies. So it is no, I'm totally into, I'm so excited to have these conversations, but it's like, yeah, we're going to have our own conversations. Like disclosure is like not just a govern, like because we are the true governing, we're all the like God,
Yeah.
we are the governing,
We are the
we are
governing.
the true royalty, you
This is
know,
facts.
and we're gonna, yeah, we're gonna see, yeah, this is our opportunity to start to reclaim the narrative, and to be brave and not feel like we have to have all the pieces figured out, you know. i
Yeah.
don't i don't know every
Yeah.
there's, but it's like we got to come together because we each have pieces of the
Yes.
code. Like the entire
Ooh.
hologram lives in you, the entire hologram lives in me, but like here in the material form, like I have the code that is can uniquely come through me, you have code that can
Yeah.
uniquely come through you, and that's how I see everyone. We're
Oh, that's
each this
beautiful.
divine instrument. Yeah. So when we come together, we can start putting literally the pieces of our true like galactic history and our true place in the multiverse, like as the human race. So I am
This
excited.
is
I just think
beautiful.
this is our opportunity to like, yeah, like disclosure is like us remembering ourselves as cosmic expressions.
Hmm.
Also, like because we're not separate. Like
No.
the planets are not out there. Like
Sorry,
it,
guys.
like I said, it gets real weird. It gets real weird, but like this is where we're going, and that's why you have to be so in your body, because it can be like, wait, what?
What do you mean
That
there's no?
3D model that NASA has been programming us with is not
Oh,
like the whole picture.
not that globe map. We're not talking about that. Can't be.
Oh my god, we have to laugh too. We have to laugh as we do this
You,
because
it's like it's if stay on that globe theory. Like for someone who's like, oh, what do you mean we haven't been to space? They've told us, and I'm like, well, the government lies to you all the time. So let's just start with that. But two, why is it so outlandish to think that, hey, actually we haven't even been out there? What if space is beyond the outer walls? Like that's the true space. Like, can we just entertain that thought? What do you think? This is like just throwing this question out there in general. Like, if have you guys ever thought like what's beyond that Antarctic wall? Do you think it's just this wall and it just stops? No, this stuff beyond that thing. We need to start thinking.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, I'm so glad you took it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and this is I don't talk about this ever really because
Let's do it. Sunday
people will be like,
sessions.
oh, yeah, people will be like, oh, conspiracy theory, but it's like, no, like the maps that we've like the programming goes so deep, and when you realize that we like are living in a quantum universe, and when you realize like it's actually not that hard to manipulate an entire generation of the human race when they're working at this level of frequencies and technologies. And you realize it has been going on for like at least 150 years, if not more. No, I love that. I can't wait to go beyond those ice walls. I hope I get to see, you know, and no, we don't live in a 3D model of the, like, if I'm a multidimensional being,
Mom,
of course the realm that I live in is multidimensional.
yeah.
So as we collectively awaken, we are going to have to radically reframe all of our science, like all of it, so that changes everything we've built our entire world on. So I'm like, we're building the era of a new civilization. Like, it really is that big.
The new Earth.
Because it is absolutely a new Earth. So there's going to be a new science where we really understand, you know, the electromagnetic fields, and this is not meant to be just reserved for a few people who can understand quantum physics. Like, that's another, I'm just going to say psyop. I know people are probably like, oh no, like, but it is like, it really there have been these psychological operations in place to get us to believe that we just live in a box, like in a 3D model.
It's not true.
In this globe, and we're all alone, right? We're just, who knows if there's life way out there. And it's truly such an inversion of the truth. Like, it is just an inversion. And so, like, when you awaken, you have to like reverse code your reality. And then you're like, oh wait, I was living from the outside in, but now I'm realizing, oh, I'm living from the inside out. And no, it changes everything. And I am so excited for when we're starting it now. I guess we are having this conversation of like, and it's so it's like, well, what is the Earth really? Exactly. Like, if it's not like, what is it? And I don't know. I just know it's not that. And I know there's so much more.
I don't have the answers, but I do. If we're playing around with creating a reality, right? So if it's billions of people on the planet and there's only one physical Earth, something's not adding up. So something's changing within this Earth. So we have to entertain that idea. And then two, from my understanding of, like, I see Earth as just grid, and that grid materializes based on the collective, right? So it's just this intergalactic, interdimensional scene that always changes, and everything's frequency. It could be a fairy flying next to me right now. I wouldn't even know because I'm not on that frequency right now. Like, it's this this thing it gets deep.
I love what you said about, you see it as a grid that materializes according to the collective. Like, yes, like we are the guardians of this realm. That's what I mean. We're a true governing body. Like our relationship to the realm, it's more than just like, oh, I'm one with the earth. I'm part of the, you know, the trees and the grass or whatever. It's like, no, like,
it's deeper than that.
Oh, so much deeper. And so, like, yeah, I do see it as just this shifting, like, star system. And I think we're going to realize Earth is not just a singular, it's not, I don't even call it a planet anymore. I try to get away from that because I don't see it as just, like, to me, Earth is like literally a kingdom of like intersecting star systems. And I'm like, and this is where it's like, ooh, this is going to be fun. And this is where I'm saying we each have codes, because that star system like lives within us. Like, we have the map. Oh, this is, I love
I'm getting goosebumps with this conversation.
Oof.
What if, Sarah, okay, because you got me thinking now, what if, because you saying we all have these codes. So even with this conversation that we're having right now, this is unlocking a whole different reality to experience in those who are listening. So guys, it's important to just speak on the reality that you do wish, because I know that can probably go over a lot of people's heads, because a lot of people be like, oh, be realistic with reality. No, that's why you keep experiencing the same thing, because you're being realistic. Be delusional. Delusional is the reality.
Mm-hmm. Mm. No, truly, truly. You have to be so far, and that's the thing. Like, to get so out of your own mind into the collective dreaming mind. And it doesn't mean, and there's a difference between like being out of your mind, being psychotic in an unhealthy, dangerous way. And I always want to preference that because
Yeah.
people, it's really easy for it to be taken out of context. But like, um, no, I love that you said that. Like, be so delusional. It's really a dream.
It's a
Like,
dream.
dream. Like, don't hold back. Like, just dream. Like, your imagination, like I said, it's not just a fantasy. Like, oh my gosh, we could
I
go so
know.
deep with this.
Do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. These are the
No,
conversations I live for.
no, it really, no, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk about it because no, it really, I love how you said unlocking a whole new way to experience reality, and that's where we're going. That's what the new earth is. But we're not leaving our bodies.
Yep.
That's why we're staying here. We're not being beamed up. I mean, yeah, you be beamed up, but you're staying in your body, and you're going to have to live through your own death and resurrection, and that's a
Exactly.
whole thing. But it's like, no, like we're doing it here, like now, like it's happening now, and oh yeah, I just love it's unlocking so many things for me too, like
Mm-hmm.
because like how do I even say this? Like we are part of the universal mind, and like whatever the earth is,
Mm-hmm.
it has a mind, it has
Yes.
an intelligence
Yes.
that we are connected to.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're guardians of it, but we're also expressions of it. Like it is really multidimensional. And so like this is why like all of our architecture is going to change, the way humans like
Ooh,
live on earth is going to change to be more open
we have
to
to.
account for our relationship with the living earth grid.
Mm.
Like it's so alive. There are stargates, there are portals,
Mm-hmm.
like some of us are like assigned by God like to be guardians of specific like land areas as we heal and restore. Like
Mm-hmm.
this goes so deep, and there's an intelligence in the planet. Well,
Yeah.
again, I said planet there, but I am trying to move away from that. There is an intelligence in
In the
the
grid.
planetary sphere, in the grid, that is earth, that like we can connect to, and we can be like, this is kind of like, it's kind of like learning how to survive in the wilderness again, because like
Mm-hmm.
we're supported at all times, but like
Yes.
your channels have to be clear.
Yes.
And so like you can be, but again, it's like we've been so conditioned to be dependent on these centralized resources so they can control them
Mm-hmm.
and hoard them and keep us. I mean, that's how it operates. So they can just keep
Yeah.
us living in our little boxes and feeding on our energy because
Thinking
they
that
don't
we're
have
free.
their own. Exactly. But in reality, we are part of this greater, vast cosmic intelligence ecosystem. And it's like once you clear your spiritual channels, go through all of your healing and clearing your ancestral, all the gunk in our DNA, and you reclaim your basically the intelligence of your spirit, the telepathy and just the knowing. And obviously you have to have discernment because
Yeah.
there are negative frequencies that are going to
Of
try and
course.
interfere with that and stuff. But
Can't
like,
be naive
it's
to
really
that.
so exciting. No, but it's really so exciting because then I feel like you can go anywhere and like experience the God dream, and in ways that are just like,
And he
it's
feeling the
just so
love.
profound.
Like God literally
Yeah.
shows us how much it loves, well, we, us, it, whatever, love ourselves in the little things. It could be a conversation you have with a
Mm,
stranger. It could somebody saying, I hope you have a great day. Like if you can just literally see God in everything, you will realize we are always loved and supported, but we have to take the ego viewpoint
yes.
of it and just see everybody as equals.
Amen.
This should get deep.
And then we're not living in fear anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, no, this is what, then you're not living in fear anymore. If you can trust that you are like fundamentally supported
All
and
times.
guided by this
All times.
intelligence that lives within you, exactly, at all times. And it can be hard to remember that sometimes, you know, especially when we're feeling low or moving through pain or hard times or whatever. But that's the time when that faith, that true faith, and that true, not just faith, but like relationship.
Yeah, that's when they got to come out. They got to come out.
Then we start living life like in a way that we previously only dreamed was possible. That's what's on the other side of fear. And we find ourselves just like taking risks we didn't think we would take before, because that fear isn't what's controlling us anymore. We're not living in survival mode
That
anymore.
what if this happens? What if
Exactly.
that goes wrong? No, what's the best case scenario for this situation? Let's change that mantra.
Yeah. Yeah. How can I dream with God today? How can I source my reality
How
from
can
the
I
0 point,
dream
from the
with
living now?
Ooh. How can I dream with God today? I woke up from one dream. How can I dream with God today in this
Mm.
dream? Damn.
You've just got me on a roll, but yeah,
I'm
that's
loving.
what I try to. No, seriously, I try to just express gratitude every day that I get to wake up and dream with God, you know, and not every, that doesn't mean there aren't challenges, you
Yeah, of
know,
course.
but that's part of being here as the true
Being
governing
human.
body at this time. Yeah. And we are here to serve one another, because service is part of love. So it's not about, it's not just about your personal dream and your personal
Yeah.
wants and desires. It's about your true, you know, like our true desires, which is both personal and universal at the
Right.
same time. And that's that quantum, like when we dream with God, it's our deepest dreams fulfilled, but
Hmm.
also us being used in deepest service to one another. And that's when we restore our collective God dream, which is this orchestra. It's so beautiful. And this is where we're going. This is what I'm telling people, like, I don't care what psyop comes out next. I don't care.
Yeah, I already know what's happening. I do not care. I think so the concept of us being extensions of God, and even God, um God's favorite drug of choice is amnesia. Shout out to Chase for that line because it's so freaking true. Um it can go over a lot of people because a lot of people think like God is in the sky, and Sky Daddy and the man with the staff and shit. But it's not understand like source God wants us to experience this, and that's why we have free will. So whatever you do, there's no wrong, right, right or wrong is subjective depending on who you're asking, but the free will to say, hey, go experience the best life possible. That's what I want for ourselves. Can you do that for me? I'm going to give you these tools. Come back with this information. Let's keep creating. Let's keep expanding. Like that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really what we're here for. And like when we allow ourselves to receive that fullness, like it's like the conversation about free will and stuff, it kind of becomes obsolete because we're all just dreaming with God. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you're dreaming with God, you're not even thinking about causing harm to
Mm-hmm.
like it's almost like because you're just living in that pure devotional love, it becomes your nature. So
Why would I
like
want to hurt myself?
our entire exactly, exactly, because everything you do to another you are doing to yourself.
Mm. That's what
And
that
it
treatment
really
equals.
doesn't matter what that other has done.
Doesn't matter.
No, yeah, exactly.
You have to have that responsibility as remembering yourself as a creator to saying, okay, I understand this person is playing sleep right now. I'm not, because prime freaking example. Let's take it a step back. Let's look at it from a 3D lens. If you're into a religion, and let's say you did some wild shit at the club one night. You think that God's in the sky judging you? No, he's not saying, oh, you was doing this and that, and saying, okay, no, I love you unconditionally. It's the same way we have to operate with others.
Mm-hmm.
We're not here to judge, we're here to love.
Exactly. Exactly. And like when we just embody that, like anything that needs to be corrected will just take place naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just the nature of life. Like it's always the very core fabric of it is love. So like, yeah, we don't have to like police other people of like,
No.
oh, you're wrong. And yeah, that's where all that judgment is just, that's where people misinterpret the correction of God as like the self-righteousness, you know, when
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
That hammer
no.
down. Can't do this. It's just this beautiful game, this beautiful creation. I'm super grateful for this episode, by the way, because this just put me into some new frequencies I didn't even know I could tap into today. So I'm super grateful for you, first and foremost. But Sarah, I always ask this last question to my guest. What would your message be to humanity during this time?
Mm. Just trust the love that dwells within you. You are never separate from God. It doesn't matter how you identify, it doesn't matter. You are love, you are loved. And if you can remember that, that's all you need to do. One step at a time, you know, one day at a time. Like, we got this. It's hard sometimes, it's really hard, but
Yeah.
like we got this. Like, don't lose faith. When it gets hard, come back to the 0 point. Just distill it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's the next step? Stay in your body.
Mm-hmm.
That's because that's where the love is. It's in your cells. So it's okay if you don't know how tomorrow is gonna. It's okay. And God tells us this. You know, I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry about tomorrow. I got you today. What can you do right now?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the dream. That's where the dream really happens. So.
This is such a heartfelt, love centered episode from the heart space, guys.
Mm.
I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. Sarah, I truly hope you hop back on the show again because this is a dope ass episode. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, no, this was so much fun. I would love to come back.
Hell yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. You're welcome on anytime, anytime. Guys,
Okay,
I,
awesome.
I will make sure I provide Sarah's links below. Support, follow. Sarah's awesome. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you guys next week. Have a good one.